Okay. Again, it's December the 22nd, 2024. I had a couple more thoughts from John 18. Again, it's Jesus in the garden with the disciples. Judas and the rest of the Roman cohort are coming to arrest Jesus. They come with their lanterns, torches, and weapons. And Jesus, it says, knowing all the things that were coming upon him, went forth and said to them, "Who do you seek?" And they said to him, we're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. And he says, "I am he." And when he said, "I am he," it says that they drew back and they fell to the ground. And so this is the first thing I want you to think about, is that by Jesus' words alone, they fall back to the ground. That's the strength that Jesus has. And it's restrained strength. We have to understand that Jesus was not incapable of stepping in and solving all these problems and just assuming the throne and just destroying his enemies. So I think we understand that. This is the same man who could give the blind man sight, who could raise people from the dead. He did with Lazarus, just probably in this case a couple weeks or a week before. He could still the waters. He could feed 5,000, 10,000 people just by his own words. I mean, the miracle after miracle, sign after sign Jesus did while he was on the earth. And just by his words alone, he's able to completely push these people back to the point where they can't control themselves and they fall to the ground. And what did they have to bring? Torches, weapons, lanterns. I mean, that's all they could bring. And Jesus willingly allowed himself to be arrested. That's the first thing to understand, is that, again, Jesus' strength on earth was restrained. And the reason it was restrained, it was for our benefit. It was because he was determined to do God's will, and God's will for him was to drink the cup fully of death, to come to the earth and to die. That was Jesus' purpose on earth. It is always important to understand that, because it has amazing applications for us, is that Jesus was the perfect example of submission. He submitted to the Father and said, "Lord, yes, I would love to be free from the pain and the agony of the physical pain, the torture that I'm about to undergo. But most importantly, I know it's going to mean separation from you for a period of time." And he dreaded that, because he went on throughout the Gospel of John and talked about how he's always been with the Father. This perfect union of relationship between Father and Son. And to have a period of time where he was not going to experience that was something beyond comprehension. And it's hard for us to understand, because we have separation from our loved ones and from people, and we have broken relationships on earth. I don't know anybody who doesn't experience that. But Jesus, as the perfect human being and the one who was perfectly God and sent by God, didn't know what that's like, because he had no sin. And he was about to experience that pain and grief, because he was taking on the sins of the world. And so you see this restrained strength that Jesus showed while on earth. And we know from the story that Simon Peter, in defense of Jesus, takes out a sword, cuts off the ear of the slave, and Jesus restores that person's hearing, restores the injury. And Jesus said to Peter, "Put the sword into the sheath. The cup which the Father has given me, shall I not drink it?" So just think about that today as an example of Jesus' submission. He was accepting the cup and the will of God for his life. And that's so hard sometimes to accept it. But I pray and want to encourage you that we need to follow the example of Jesus. And how was Jesus able to do it? As a man, as the perfect man, because he knew that God was always in control. He also knew of the kindness of God, and he also knew of what the end of the story would be, is that this spelled victory for him and absolute defeat of Satan. And it will for us too. No matter what your trials you're going through, no matter what challenges you're going through, God has already won through Jesus Christ. So we can be confident, even in the pain, even in the the circumstances of life that we don't know what's next. We do know that God is always in control. And again, as I mentioned in the last video, all that the world can bring are lanterns, torches, and weapons. But those things are dust, and they will not last. But the reign of Christ will always last. So remember that today. Have a great day.